Hey guys, this project is so fun and so easy. I don't know if you guys have ever had the little dehydrated marshmallows or like Lucky Charms. Basically, these taste like that when they're done, but they're so easy. Now, we are not big sugar eaters and we usually don't eat very many marshmallows, but this year I just thought this would be such a fun project, even for if you want to do for gifts. If you do homemade hot cocoa or something, it'd be so fun to put a jar of dehydrated marshmallows along with it, or just a fun thing for the kids. Now you can do it in the dehydrator or you can do it in the oven. I will show you both ways, but first we're going to start in the dehydrator, which is so easy. I just have a cheap Presto dehydrator. You can get them for about 40 bucks on Amazon, so you don't have to get anything fancy. Basically, we're just gonna stick them on the trays here. Okay, now the thing to remember with the marshmallows is they don't shrink down like most things when you dehydrate them. They actually get bigger. So, we are just doing the mini marshmallows. You can do the big marshmallows, but you have to cut them into quarters and then dip them into powdered sugar if you want to try the big marshmallows. Try for the most part to have them not touching. They dry a lot better if they're not touching. I'm not going to sit here and spread them all out. Some people do that. I just try to keep it pretty quick and simple. I'm just going to do a load of white ones here. But then also, we got these, which are fun. We got some candy corn ones. Now they're a little bit bigger than the little ones, but I've tried them before and they do still fit on here. They're not too big. You just gotta make sure these ones, you gotta be a little more careful with them touching each other because they're bigger to begin with. With the dehydrated marshmallows, the biggest thing is to when they're drying, they don't take very long. The little ones, you're probably looking at maybe 6 hours. I usually start checking them in a couple hours and just to see where they're at. Sometimes they go fast and others just depend on the size. Obviously, these ones will take a little bit longer, so I'll probably switch out the ones that get done first. When you'll know they're done when you take them and you squeeze them and they'll basically crumble down instead, or if you can crack them in half. If you put them in your mouth and try to eat it and it's chewy inside, that means they aren't finished yet. So we'll just get those going. Now with this dehydrator, there is not the option to set a temperature, so you just let it go on the main thing. Which these work great for that. I know some things if you're dehydrating them, that's not as nice, but for most of the projects that I use it for, it works out just fine. I'm just going to do one more. That's one. Now the one nice thing about this dehydrator is the racks go into each other, so they store way easier than other ones because they don't take as much space. Alright, so we'll get this one started, and then I will show you how to do the ones in the oven. Alright, so to do them in the oven, you're going to need just your cookie sheet and your marshmallows. We're just going to put them on there. Try to give as much air between them as possible. Now, you're going to have to put the oven on the lowest setting possible. It has to be below 200. 200 or below, preferably lower if you can. Now my oven only the lowest it has is 200, so I'm going to stick it in there. When you do them in the oven, it does take a little more time because they don't take more time to dry them, but you have to have more time because you have to stir them every 15 to 20 minutes so that they don't burn. So if you're going to do it this way, you have to have a little more time to invest than if you do it in here. If you put them in here, you leave them and let them go. Here you got to have every 15 to 20 minutes, you got to make sure you're turning them. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these in, and then when they're done, show you the results and see what I think is better as far as results. I can tell you that this is the easier option. We'll see how we like the different ones and see what turn out better. Hey guys, in our last video for New Year's, we talked about how, sometimes on a homestead there are failures. We have a good example of that today. I thought my oven probably would be too hot. Our oven only is set to 200 and it always gets hotter than what it's set. So doing the marshmallows in the oven was not an option for us because this is what happened. This was after 10 minutes in the oven on 200. So they were just all sticking together and stuck to the pan. So if you want to try the oven method, you want to make sure that your oven can go below 200, because if it's too hot, it just won't work out. And also another thing would be to make sure that the marshmallows are not touching, which mine weren't, but make sure they're not even really close to each other because they do grow. And obviously in the oven they stick more. I could see how if it was a little bit cooler, it probably would have worked, and if they weren't all by each other, because they are getting harder like you would for a dehydrator, just like they do, and they obviously go much faster in the oven than they do in the dehydrator. My guess would be probably looking at 2 to 3 hours in the oven, and usually the dehydrator you're probably looking more like 6 at least. They're done. I'll let you have a look at these. This is what I got with these. Alright guys, it's been about 6 hours. I usually check these about at 5 or 6 hours to see if they're finished. I do rotate the trays, put the bottom ones to the top about halfway through. So I'm going to check them. I'd expect these to take a little longer because they're bigger, so you can tell by feeling them. They're getting harder, but they're not finished. These guys, they're getting closer. One thing that can affect how long it takes is I did fill the trays quite a bit. If there's a little more space, they'll go faster. But if you just take one and if you try to eat it, and it's still soft and doesn't just crunch, you know it's not done. Now, the different brands of marshmallows can also be different times. I've had marshmallows that are done at 5 hours. And like these still seem to have a ways to go, so I'd probably give them another hour at least. When they're finished, I let them cool off completely, and then, so I'll put them in glass jars once they're all cooled off. The best way to keep them is in a glass jar with a good seal lid, and then if you think you're going to keep them for a while and not eat them in the near future, you can always put a silica pack in there for moisture absorber. Because if there is any moisture, what will happen is they'll get chewy. They won't be a crunch anymore, and so they won't be very. So if you try them now, that's what these are. They're like chewy. They're not crunchy, so you know those aren't done. But if they get moisture in them again in the jar, that's what will happen. They'll lose the crunch. So still look good though. All right, I'm gonna get those going for a little longer, and then I will put them in jars when they're finished. Hope you guys give this a try. It's really fun. Kids love it. Big people love it. If you love marshmallow cereal, it's really fun too. Anyways, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our videos, and feel free to comment. Also, we love to hear from you guys. Anyways, see you next time.